Welcome back to English class, students. In today's class, we will be learning Block 12 S1. Okay, open your workbook to page 20 of your volume 2 workbook. Okay, and before we go on with the workbook, I will explain to you about this naming part and telling part of a sentence. Okay. So we have just done sentences in grammar class, right? Now we will move on with the parts of a sentence. Okay, now a sentence has two parts, the naming part and the telling part. Okay, why do we say the naming part? Why do we say the telling part? Now let us look at these few sentences here, okay, in order for you to be clear and to understand what is that naming part and what is that telling part. Okay, now look here, I've written Babu in the naming part and telling part makes soup, and I will read this whole sentence as one. Okay, Babu makes soup. It makes sense, right? And also this is a correct sentence because it begins with a capital letter, it ends with a full stop, and it makes complete sense. But why do I write again in the naming part and the telling part? Now the naming part tells us about a person. Okay, Babu. Now Babu here is a person, right? It is the name of a person. Telling part. Telling part here is the part that tells us more about the naming part. It tells us more about Babu. It tells us that Babu makes soup. That Babu makes soup. So Babu here is the naming part because it is the name of a person, and makes soup is the telling part because it tells us that Babu makes soup. Are you clear? Do you understand? Let us look at more sentences in order for you to be more clear. Monu bakes tasty cakes. Now Monu here again I've written down in the naming part. Why? Because it is the name of the character of an animal, the monkey. Remember, who bakes tasty cake? Now let us tell more about Monu. What about Monu? Monu bakes tasty cake. So now you are telling that Monu bakes tasty cakes. Okay, so bakes tasty cakes here is a telling part. Is a telling part. Why? Because it tells us that Monu bakes tasty cakes. Now we have here two names in the naming part, Hira and Moti. So I will circle, okay, I will circle the naming part. Hira and Moti. Now let us tell, okay, about Hira and Moti. Now we have given the name Hira and Moti. So let us tell more about Hira and Moti. Hira and Moti always fight. Always fight here is a telling part because it tells us that Hira and Moti always fight with each other. Okay. And the next one here we have Rana and Roli. Look, Rana and Roli. So we will circle this again. This is the naming part because it is the name of those two rabbits in the story A Piece of Cake. Okay. It is the name. That's why we are keeping here in this naming part. Now let us tell about Rana and Roli. What do you want to tell? Rana and Roli were fighting. Do you remember in the story A Piece of Cake? They were fighting over a piece of cake, right? Rana wanted the bigger piece. Roli also wanted the bigger piece and the cherry, right? So they were fighting. So here this word, okay, were fighting is a telling part of a sentence because it tells us that Rana and Roli were fighting. Okay, now question number 5, number 5 here says, Miss Reela, that is me, okay? Miss Reela is teaching. Now, Miss Reela, that is my name, okay? Is teaching is a telling part. So, here you are telling that Miss Reela is teaching. Okay, you tell that Miss Reela is teaching. So, Miss Reela is a naming part, okay, because that is my name. And is teaching is a telling part because it tells that Miss Reela is teaching. Do you understand, students? So, now I want you to look at your workbook, okay, page 20, okay. Page 20 of your volume 2 workbook, English workbook, and you will find this S1 naming part and telling part, okay? Try out this one on your own. Now, question 1 says, circle the naming part and underline the telling part in each sentence. I will help one from here, okay, and one from here, and you will do the rest on your own, okay? Now look here. It is given Hira is a boy. Which one is the naming part? Hira, because it is the name of a boy. Is a boy. Now I will underline. Why? Because it is a telling part. The question here says, circle the naming part. So I circled the naming part and it says underline the telling part. So now I underlined the telling part. Hira is the naming part because it is the name of a boy. And is a boy is a telling part because it tells us that Hira is a boy. Now here, look at this one word here, Hira. Will you circle or will you underline? You will just circle. It is the naming part, okay, of a sentence, but it is not a complete sentence because it is just a word, Hira, okay. So just circle this one. No need to underline because there's nothing behind it. And all the others you will do on your own. Okay, and look at picture 2. Now this is the picture of the cat. Okay, and remember you have to circle the naming part and underline the telling part. The cat is fat. The cat. Now the cat is the name of this animal. So you will circle the cat. Is fat. Now you will underline is fat because it is a telling part. It tells us that the cat is fat. Okay, so here this sentence, the cat can jump. You will do this on your own. The cat is white. Do this on your own. And the cat can run. This also I want you to do on your own. Okay, students. And number 2, write a sentence. So now here it comes to this part where you have to write a sentence. Circle its naming part and underline its telling part. Now you have to write a sentence, okay? But you also have to write a name in the sentence, okay? You will circle the naming part and you will underline a naming part. You can use a red color pencil to circle the naming part and use a blue color pencil to underline the telling part. Okay, only for this one here. And you can use your book to write a sentence also. Okay, like you can turn to page 12 or page 13 where you have the story about Babu's sons. You can write Hira and Moti were fighting. Or you can write Babu has 2 sons. Then you will circle Babu and has 2 sons. You will have to underline that telling part. Okay, write a sentence, any sentence, or you can write about Rana and Roli also. Open your content book to page 2 of your volume 2 where you will find the story about Rana and Roli. Okay, a piece of cake. You can write Monu bakes tasty cake. Or you can write Rana and Rolly were fighting over a piece of cake. Anything, any sentence, okay? Then you will just circle the naming part and underline the telling part, okay? Any sentence from any story, you can use your content book or you can write on your own, okay? Or you can turn this workbook to page 18 and you can pick sentence from here also. Babu's sons is a folk tale. Or no, not this one. You can write Hira and Moti learned to not fight without reason. You can write this one also. Now you can use this sentence, Hira and Moti learned to not fight without reason. You will circle Hira and Moti and then you'll write learn to not fight without reason. You can underline this part, okay? Or you can turn to page 16, okay, of your workbook and you can pick out sentences from here, okay? You can write Hira and Moti, okay? Don't write this there. Hira and Moti always fight. Circle Hira and Moti and then underline always fight. For those who do not have the book, you can use this. You can look from this video while I show you, or I can click a picture and send you, okay? And then you can write Babu made soup. Circle Babu and underline made soup. Okay. You can write any sentence using your content book. Or you can write sentences on your own. But just remember that you have to circle the naming part and underline the telling part. Okay, students? So that is all for today's class. All the best with your work. Page 20 S1 naming part and telling part of your volume 2 English workbook. And I will see you in the next class. Thank you. Bye-bye.